Oz, the Great and Powerful, directed by Sam Raimi and starring James Franco and Mila Kunis. I was not really looking forward to this one, mostly because I'm really not a big Wizard of Oz fan at all. I really didn't see the original movie until I was about 10 or 11 years old, so that might have something to do with it. I didn't really grow up with it. By the time I saw it, the magic of it had, I don't know. It's just not a movie that I've ever really attached to. It's like, I understand why people like it, but at the same time, it's never really resonated with me personally. I've got to say, my personal favorite treatment of the Wizard of Oz mythology is the stage play Wicked, not even the book. I kind of had a mixed reaction to the book. Gregory Maguire is kind of a whole subject that I could make a video on why I don't particularly like his writing style, but the stage play, I really like the stage play's mythology and how they dealt with the history of the Wicked Witches in really kind of a streamlined way. And that is what was really missing from this film to start out with, was that this was anything but streamlined in terms of plot, and yet I felt like the whole thing was kind of rushed. This film is not very well paced. Having said that, I did enjoy this film a lot more than I thought I would. So I guess I'll start with the positives before getting into more of my little nitpicky things. I really did like James Franco a lot in the role of Oz, the magician. I really liked his character. I like that they played around with the fact that he's a con artist. He's just sort of a crappy street magician who's really not really anything special, but he's got a sly wit about him that kind of gets him through the whole movie. Someone, I think Pretty Much It, pointed out that it was Pretty Much It, or one of the popular movie review YouTube channels, pointed out that the finale with James Franco's practical magic effects versus the witches and their CGI explosions and stuff was kind of like a commentary on practical effects versus visual effects. And it's funny coming from a movie that it just has so much. This is a CG overload. I mean, it's pretty clear from the trailers that it is. I like certain parts of what they did with the design of Oz. For example, I really like the fact that the Emerald City is so massive, and you get a really good sense of the scale for it, unlike anything that could have possibly been done back in the 30s. Like, that's the kind of thing that I really like to see. I really did like the first scene where he goes to Oz and he's falling through he's in the balloon, and the balloon falls, and he goes down that river, and there's this really captivating sequence, I thought, where the CGI plants, the CGI flowers and everything, they kind of played around with the score of the music. That was, like, I was kind of disappointed that didn't happen more, because it was really that one little section where, the wind was blowing through the plants and the flowers and the leaves, and it just kind of be in sync with the score. I don't know, that was just one little moment that I really liked. The other element of this film that I really caught on to, and so did pretty much everyone else that saw it, is the supporting characters of, the Zach Braff good flying monkey, who I already forgot his name, shame on me, and the China doll. The China doll, pretty much every critic is saying, is pretty much the highlight of the film, and they're not wrong. She's completely CGI, but they really make a good character out of her. The animation is really quite realistic. It's pretty striking. I really like the lighting effects on her, the way the light reflects off her. It really looks like a moving China doll. It's pretty impressive. It's an impressive CG character. Zach Braff's character, First of all, I was really amused by Zach Braff in the opening 10 minutes or so. Like, it's like the classic Wizard of Oz, in that all the main actors kind of get like little cameos in the first black and white section before they go to Oz. But I don't know. The problem I had with that was that it really felt like most of them were just kind of shoehorned in there. Especially, I had a big problem with the Glinda character, but we'll get to that. But the one that I felt worked the best was the Zach Braff, because, in the real world, in in 1905 Kansas, Zach Braff basically is James Franco's own personal flying monkey, because he's just, the magician's assistant, and he's just, in the brief screen time he gets, actually playing a real person, which, I don't know, Zach Braff should be in more movies, because he's just a really, he's just got a good comic timing to him, but that's another story. But in the few scenes he does have, you can tell that he really worked on his character. He's just really frustrated to be working with James Franco, who's such an obvious con artist, and I really enjoyed Zach Braff, and then I enjoyed the flying monkey character even more. He was probably my favorite part of the whole film. I kind of felt that during the second act, he kind of fell out of the story a little bit. I don't know. It's like he had a lot of screen time in the first part and the end, but really not a lot in the middle. That's just another weird pacing issue I noticed with this movie. Now, the biggest issue I had with this movie was basically the treatment of all the witches. I mean, I just felt this whole thing was just done pretty poorly. It basically felt like Alice in Wonderland 2.0, in that you had the evil witch who was residing over the Kingdom of Oz, just like in Burton's Alice in Wonderland. You had the Queen of Hearts. And yeah, the whole witch thing really felt like a carbon copy of Burton's Alice in Wonderland, because then you had Glinda the Good Witch, who, just like Anne Hathaway's throwaway character from Wizard of Oz, kind of resides in this sort of like, side part of Oz and Wonderland that they don't really explain too well why it's a side part. In this case, it's Munchkinland. Oh god, I really didn't like the Glinda character at all. She's just kind of the obligatory, like, the nice. I mean, that's her whole role. She's just really nice. It's like every single shot of acting she does, it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna smile and be warm, and that's my whole character, is that I'm just really, really, really pleasant. And it was just dull. And I also felt like her inclusion in the Kansas scenes was really awkward, and I don't know, she's obviously supposed to be James Franco's love interest. That really didn't work for me at all. They had, like, no chemistry. I wasn't even sure if they were supposed to be a couple or not by the end of the movie, really. That whole relationship just felt off. I actually felt James Franco had more natural chemistry with Mila frickin' Kunis. And, now Mila Kunis, and then, who's the other one? I forget the name of the actress, but it's, they basically turned out to be the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wicked Witch of the East, and I'm not going to spoil which one is which, but, like everyone else has been saying, Mila Kunis kind of sinks this movie a little bit. I really didn't get her, first of all, I really didn't get her motivations. Her motivations were really rushed, really weak. It's just like, I don't know. And then the Wicked Witch of the East, who's actually the main villain. Oops, I guess I just... Well, whatever. I'll just put a spoiler warning. Mila Kunis turns out to be the Wicked Witch of the West, and then... I didn't want to spoil that, but... the Wicked Witch of the East is actually the main villain, which I liked, because I liked how, she's really kind of always been the character that's just kind of shoved away. I mean, appropriately enough, because she gets squashed by Dorothy's house at the beginning of the classic story. But, so I really like that she got fleshed out a lot. Mila Kunis, the one thing I have to give her credit for is that she really did emulate the original Wicked Witch cackle pretty well. I thought it was pretty spot on, but everything else about her performance was just bad, and the makeup was really underwhelming. The makeup just looked silly, and they hyped the crap out of that makeup, man. They hyped the crap out of the Wicked Witch of the West. She was like the big ending money shot in both of the trailers. Now, a couple other things I kind of liked about this movie. I like one of the things I liked is Munchkinland. It was creepy because it felt just like the set of Munchkinland from the original film. It was just spot on. And that's one of the things I liked in general about this movie, is that even though there's a lot of subtle references to the original, it really is its own story and its own take on the Oz mythology. it gets kind of weird in some spots where there's just direct references. Like, I wasn't really sure what was going on with the Cowardly Lion, if the lion that they ran into was supposed to be the Cowardly Lion or what. And then they have this weird sort of scarecrow army. No, it's, I guess, spoilers. There's just these weird references like, oh, there's a lion, or oh, there's a scarecrow. Get it? Scarecrow from the original movie. So that was kind of, I liked the fact that it was trying to be its own thing. I just didn't really like when it was so in your face about, like, I remember the original. It's kind of like how I didn't like in the movie Hitchcock with Anthony Hopkins that came out last year. Every time it was just like, get it? That happened in Psycho. That happened. Get it? Oh, look, a bird lands on his shoulder. The birds is going to be... I'm sorry, that's a whole nother tangent. I really didn't like Hitchcock. That was a random tangent. I'm very sorry for that. That's what you get with me, random tangents. So, but I did like how this sort of felt like a classic movie in some respects. I really liked the aspect ratio change at the beginning when they first get to Oz. That worked really well. James Franco's performance, oddly enough, felt like a performance out of the era that the original Wizard of Oz came out, which I really appreciated. Like I said, James Franco, I mean, he really surprised me with this, because I've been kind of getting off of the Franco train lately. I thought his character in Rise of the Planet of the Apes was really bland and kind of sank that movie for me. I know a lot of people really like that movie, but I don't know. And hey, it's Mila Kunis is in that movie too. Go figure. Go figure that Mila Kunis is the weakest link in both those movies. But I'm kind of going on some tangents here, like always, so I'll just wrap it up and say, it was... Like, I liked it. I think it's a better overall movie than Burton's Wonderland is, and the movie's weak points are when it kind of emulates Burton's Wonderland in some of the CGI and in some of the plot points. Mostly how they handle Glinda seems like kind of it really feels exactly like the same sort of thing how they handled Anne Hathaway's character in Wonderland, and it really just feels... Like I said, I really didn't get into Glinda's character at all. I mean, maybe that's me just wishing for the Glinda from Wicked, but that's the thing, is that I keep comparing this thing to Wicked, and I really shouldn't. I can't wait for that movie to come out. If they're ever going to make a Wicked movie, rumors have been going on about that for years. One last thing I'll have to say is Sam Raimi's direction. I think The Wizard of Oz really fits his style more than Spider-Man did. And I think overall this is a better directed movie than all of the Spider-Man movies were. I just think it's a shame that this movie got bogged down in a lot of CGI, and I'd like to see a cut of this movie that's about 2.5 hours long, because I kind of feel like that's about the length of the mythology they were going for, but they just didn't want it to get too long. But I really feel like certain things, like maybe more background on the China doll, more background on the witches, just certain things would flesh out this movie a lot more. Because as of right now, it just feels like it's rushed. Certain things just feel like very blatantly like, oh, that was something that was left on the cutting room floor, and we're not... I know, I can't really think of any specific examples, but I did like this movie a lot. I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10. It's just, like I said, there's just elements of Burton's Wonderland that kind of drag it down. But for what it is, it's a solid movie. It's a really... it's something that deserves to be seen in the movie theater, mostly for the aspect ratio change, which you can't really appreciate on DVD as much at all. So I'd say go see it in theaters if you're at all interested in it. It's not a spectacular movie by any means, but it's a nice early blockbuster to get your fix before summer starts, and it's certainly a lot better than any of the filler we've been seeing in theaters recently. So I'm gonna cut this off. Hope you enjoyed it, and expect more movie reviews from me soon.